as a full-time makeup reviewer, I try a lot of new makeup every month, and inevitably, the things that I try end up reminding me of other things that I already had in my collection. So today, I wanted to try out some new products that I got and compare them to some older things that they remind me of and see which one I actually like better. Did I really need to buy the newer products, or are the older ones just as good? I'm actually wearing the new products on this side of my face and the older ones over here, and I honestly can't really tell the difference. So if you'd like to see which new products I regret buying, then stay tuned. If you're new here and you like honest, unsponsored makeup reviews, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and let's go ahead and jump right in and get started. All right, guys, let's start out with the first product, which is this Charlotte Tilbury Unreal Skin Sheer Glow Tint. So I mistakenly bought this thinking that it was a stick foundation, but when I got it home and I tried it out, I did like it, but it is so sheer. It reminds me of kind of a stick version of her Hollywood Flawless filter. That's basically what it is. It's kind of like a glowy primer in a stick. So you're not gonna get too much coverage out of this. If that's what you're going for, that's awesome. I think it looks really nice on your skin, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. And when I got this home, I immediately thought of this one from Joa. This is the Crystal Glow Tinted Luminizer Stick. Oh my gosh, these are pretty much the exact same thing. And I do regret buying the Charlotte Tilbury one because I rarely ever use this one from Joa. It's not a product that I reach for on a regular basis. I probably got this like 6 to 9 months ago, and I've used it once or twice. So again, I think it's important. I'm just gonna put the Charlotte Tilbury one over on this side. I do think it's important to just do your research when you're buying things and not just get all excited about the hype like I sometimes do and buy something without, seeing reviews first or getting some more information on the product itself. Because even though I do like a lighter coverage finish these days, this is too light. This doesn't even cover anything. It does look really nice on my skin, I will give it that, and it gives a nice glow. So I've kind of been using this more like a glowy primer underneath my foundation than anything else, which is, I guess, kind of like I use the Hollywood Flawless filter anyway. So I like to just kind of dab it on, smooth it with my fingers, and it just gives you a very, very slight hint of coverage and a little bit of dewiness and glow without sparkle. So I do love that about it. But I want to show you the Joa one really quickly, just so you can see they're like basically the same thing. So again, this does not give you coverage, it just gives you a little bit of glow. It also adds a little hydration back into your skin, so it's almost kind of like a light moisturizer at the same time. And honestly, I knew that these were the same once I tried the Charlotte Tilbury. I was like, shoot, it reminds me so much of this. But as I'm applying them side by side on my face, I really can't tell the difference. They have the exact same feel. And I know that Joa is a K-beauty inspired brand, so it makes me wonder if the Charlotte Tilbury one was also inspired by K-beauty. I know that glass skin is really popular in Korea, and I feel like these products kind of give you that effect. So overall, I would say that I do regret buying the Charlotte Tilbury one just because I not only have this one, it's not something that I typically reach for. So I don't see myself using this very much either. Next up, when it comes to foundation, I have absolutely been loving this new Tier Cushion Foundation. So I did try the red one, the big viral red one. I have a whole video on that where I tried that plus a bunch of other K-beauty makeup, and I felt like that particular formula was so drying on me. I have very dry skin, I'm 46, so I thought this one was just way more flattering. But the properties that the red one has that are supposed to make it super long lasting, even if you're wearing a mask, it's not supposed to come off. This version also has that same claim. The only difference is this one is more sheer. It's not quite as full coverage, it's very thin, and also it's more moisturizing. So it gives you a tiny little bit of glow. It doesn't leave your skin feeling flat or matte. So as far as long wearing foundations go, this is near the top of my list. This is something that I definitely am reaching for over and over, especially now that we're into summer and it's so humid. I feel like my makeup just slides off, but this one doesn't. So that kind of got me thinking about other foundations that I have in my collection, like before this, what was my top long wearing formula? And I would say it was Estee Lauder's Double Wear. This was my number one. I mean, I still love it, but I want to compare them side by side and see which one I actually really prefer. Now, the Estee Lauder doesn't have the same kind of glow that this one does. They're very different finishes, but I really just want to compare them, see which one looks nicer on my skin overall. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start with the Tier again over on this side where I'm wearing all the new makeup. So this does have a nice little sponge that's included. It's a cushion compact, so you just press it down. This is shade number 23, I think. Yes, 23. And I will say too that this Tier range definitely skews lighter because in most Korean foundations, I'm a 21. And in this case, 21 was so pale. I think that's the shade that I got in the red one. So 23 just suits me so much better. It's honestly an almost perfect shade match. Another thing that's great about this is it does have SPF 30, so it's a little bit of added protection. I would not fully rely on your foundation for SPF protection because typically you're not applying enough of it. So I would still wear sunscreen under this, but it's just another layer, which is not a bad thing at all. And you can see kind of from one side of my face to the other, this has really nice coverage. It evens out my skin tone, but it's not so full coverage that it's like a mask. I felt like the red one was kind of like that. And I am by no means suggesting that that's a bad thing. If you like full coverage, you'll probably really love that one. It's just a personal preference thing. I love more of a natural looking foundation. So anyway, here's the silver Tier on this side. I feel like it is really smooth looking, but we're gonna do the Estee Lauder over here. So I'm gonna apply this just with a damp beauty sponge, and I have it in the shade Ecru. This is actually a foundation that I was so scared to try for a long time, just having dry skin. I heard that it can be really drying, but surprisingly, it's not bad. I don't really have issues with it looking dry or cakey, but I also don't cake it onto my skin either. I try to do very sheer, light layers. It is a very lightweight formula, almost a serum-like consistency, and applying it with a sponge also helps it to look very natural and just a little bit more skin-like. So I think with a lot of things, your application method matters, and you can get very different results depending on how you apply it. So let me just zoom you guys in a little bit closer and we can see the final finish. Okay, so over here we have the Estee Lauder Double Wear. There's a slight satin finish. It's very skin-like. I think the glow that you're seeing is probably from the Joa stick that's just peeking through a little, but it just makes my skin look a little bit less flat and less dry, which is really nice. And then over here we have the Tier, which definitely has a little bit more glow to it. And I think because of that glow, I see more texture on this side of my face. I don't think it's bad. It's not highlighting it in such a way that I feel any sort of negative way about it. But just compared to the Estee Lauder side, I just think this looks a little bit more flawless, I guess, than over here. And also we have to keep in mind that I did apply it on top of the Charlotte Tilbury glowy stick, which again is gonna add more glow than the Tier normally has. So honestly, this is a really difficult decision, but I'm gonna say I don't necessarily like either one better than the other. I think the Tier is great, especially right now in the summertime. I'm loving that not only does it have the extra SPF in it, but the cushion application is just so easy and quick, and I don't have to, wet a sponge and apply it the way that I do with this one. It's just super quick and easy. So I love that about it, and it does give my skin a little bit of glow. This one, I think I do slightly prefer the finish of it just because it doesn't highlight my pores quite as much. It just makes everything look really flawless. But I would be more likely to use this when I'm going to be taking my time with my makeup, if I'm going out somewhere, and I just want my skin to look really incredible. And I actually have the time to sit down and really do my makeup carefully. Whereas the Tier, I probably will just use more on the go and just more for every day because it is really easy. So I do like them both. I don't feel like one is really any better than the other, and I don't regret buying either one. So let's move on to powder. So I did get the new Rare Beauty finishing powder. I got it in the shade Ivory, and I have to say I was very disappointed in the shade range of this. Everything looked so either yellow or orange. There were no olivey undertones that I could see. There weren't any real cool tones. So unfortunately, I just felt like right away this is gonna be way too yellow for me. I do like the feel of the powder. It feels very silky, really lightweight, but I don't like the color already. I haven't tried this on my face yet, so we'll see if the color even shows up that much. But right now, I'm not loving it just seeing it in the pan. So I wanted to put this head to head with my favorite finishing powder that I have currently in my collection, and that's the one from Moira. It's their Set and Correct finishing powder, and I have it in the shade 100. So this one really, it's pretty translucent. You can't see it once you put it on your skin. It looks pretty clear. It does have these colors that are supposed to color correct, but I don't feel like it really does that. I think it's just great for minimizing shine. It's an incredibly blurring powder, which is what I love about it. So I guess let's start with the Rare Beauty one. I'm going to pick it up on my BK Beauty 104 brush, and let's just see how this applies. I'm just zooming you guys in a little bit more. I'm going to take down all of that glow and that shine that I just got from the other two products, but it is what it is, I guess. So far, it is definitely mattifying. I don't see the color a ton, but I do think it's adding a slight yellow cast to my skin, which I don't love. I think it is adding a hint of blur to my skin, and I love how it doesn't look powdery. It doesn't look cakey. It's not dry at all. So I'm really liking the way the powder is actually performing. I just don't love the color quite as much. So I'm just gonna wipe off the brush quickly on my Sigma switch, and let's use this Moira one on the other side. So this one I know has a super blurring effect, and actually going on, this feels even more lightweight than the Rare Beauty powder. It wasn't that that one felt heavy necessarily, but it's absolutely not as lightweight as this Moira one. This one is practically invisible when you put it on your skin. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I'm noticing in the mirror right away there is a huge difference between how these two actually blur your skin. The Moira one just took away all my pores. Over here, I feel like it did minimize them, but I still see them. So I'm getting a much more flawless result on this side. So hopefully you can tell the difference. Here's the Moira over here, and then we have the Rare Beauty over here. And not only that, if I go to touch my face, this side feels completely dried down. And over here, I'm still feeling some stickiness and dewiness from my foundation. And again, to be fair, the Tier foundation is a little bit more hydrating than the Estee Lauder, so it could be why it's taking a little bit longer to dry down than this side. But seeing these two powders in action next to each other, I do regret buying the Rare Beauty one because I love this one so much. I haven't found another powder that I like more than this for dry skin ever. So I really wish I hadn't spent my money on this. It's not a bad powder per se, but I think you can get something better and cheaper from Moira by just grabbing this one instead of the Rare Beauty. I know this has a ton of hype, but hype is not everything. I think sometimes everyone gets caught up in the moment. It's a new product, so of course we all want to try it, myself included, because you never know. Sometimes it could be your next holy grail, but oftentimes it isn't, and you just want to go back to what you were using before. So that's one of those cases for me. All right, let's move on to eyeshadow. I am so excited to try this. I got this right before I went on vacation, like the day before, and I didn't get a chance to use it. So now that I'm back, I'm really excited to take it out. So this is the new Too Faced Aptly in Love palette, and I did do a YouTube short of this just before I left, and I did some swatches. I thought it was so beautiful. I was so excited, by the way, that they put it in the tin packaging. I think the last couple were cardboard, and it just wasn't the same. These Too Faced fall releases belong in the tin packaging because that's what they've always done. I mean, even starting back with like the Sweet Peach palette and all of those that they, you know, their originals that they came out with. So I was happy to see them bring that back. I felt like when I swatched this that the mattes felt incredibly smooth. They were really pigmented, so no issues there. I did feel like the shimmer shades weren't quite as metallic and foiled as the originals, like the ones thinking back to like the gingerbread palette, for example. These were a little bit harder to pick up, kind of hard pressed into the pan, so I really had to dig my finger in there to get some color payoff. But not all of the shades were like that. They were kind of hit and miss, like they were a mixed bag. And also, I want to mention this has a really strong scent. Again, like going back to their original palettes, The last few, I don't know if it was because they were in the cardboard, so maybe it like didn't close as tightly and the scent maybe just kind of got out over time, or if they just weren't using enough of it. But this one, you open it up and it's like that candy apple scent just instantly hits you. So if you like their scented products, you're gonna love this one. And if not, then unfortunately, it's a little bit stronger. But when I got this, I was trying to think of other palettes that I had in my collection that sort of have a similar vibe. And instantly I thought of this one from NYX. This is the Ultimate Paradise Shock. So it has very, very similar tones. You have some pinks, some reds, some green, the mustardy yellow colors, the neutrals. So definitely a lot of similarities out there. Not total dupes, but I do think they're pretty close. So I want to show you the NYX one swatched next to the Too Faced so you can see. I mean, they're not identical by any means, but I do think the vibes are there. And I think NYX also has an amazing formula. This is their newer upgraded formula, and it is so long lasting on my eyes. So I think the formula is very high quality for drugstore. So let's go ahead and apply these. I'm thinking I want to do some of the pinks and the green. So I want to start with this shade Core Values, which is this pink one right here. I'm going to pick this up on the BK Beauty 202 brush. And I'm just gonna start working this back and forth into my crease. So far so good. I do think it's nicely pigmented. It's gliding across my skin really easily. And I do think the color payoff is there for sure. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of this Sweet on You shade, this ivory color, and just kind of blend out the edges of that a little bit and go up to my brow bone. All right, then I'm just gonna clean off my brush. And for the NYX one, I'm gonna pick up this pink shade right here. It looks like it's a little bit softer, so I may have to maybe add some of this one to it. We'll see. But I'm just gonna try to adjust as I go. I do wanna try to make these looks as similar as I possibly can, and if that involves mixing shades, then so be it. I have to say, even though this shade looks lighter in the pan, going on, it's not that much lighter. I think it's pretty similar actually. So I can either do one of two things. I can add a little bit of this deeper one right here, which I do think is a little more peachy, so it may throw things off a little. Or I could maybe add some of this ivory shade over to this side and just lighten this color up a little bit more, which maybe that's what I'll do. Because I think both colors are so similar as far as their undertone, and I don't want to mess it up by introducing a new shade. So let's try that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that worked. They look really, really close right now. So next I want to deepen things up. I'm going to pick up the dark brown in this palette, which is called Baskets Full. And I'm just going to pick up the tiniest little amount. I'm not going to go too crazy, but I just want to add a little depth to the outer corner. So I'm just going to pack this on with a flat brush. This is the Rephr #1 Mini. And then I'm just going to blend it out with the Sigma Detail Diffused Crease Brush, which is a tiny little brush. So I'm just going to blend this in small circles, working it back toward the center of my lid. Then over on the NYX side, I'm just going to pick up this dark brown shade, which looks very similar. And I'm just going to pop this right in the outer corner as well with that same Rephr brush, and then blend it out with the Sigma blending brush. If you have hooded eyes, this brush is incredible because it's so small. It just lets you put color precisely where you want it. Sometimes those big fluffy brushes can take the color too high on me, so I love that I can just put this right where I want, and it's small enough that it doesn't go everywhere, but it's still fluffy enough that it blends effectively. So it's such a good one. To be honest, I think the NYX one blended out just as nicely as the Too Faced. It might even look a little bit smoother and less patchy on the eyes. So again, I think that just speaks to the quality formula in the NYX. I think they just do such a great job with their eyeshadows. So, all right, let's move on to lid shades. I want to apply this green right here called Slice Slice Baby. It is such a pretty shade, and I really like the name as well. So I'm going to be using the glitter primer from Moira, and I'm just going to pop this right on the inner part of my lid where I'm going to put the shimmer shade. And then I'm just picking it up with my finger and patting it right on top of that primer. So this shimmer shade is a little bit on the sheerer side. You do have to like really dig your finger into the pan to get a lot of the color to come up, but it seems to be applying really nicely, especially over the glitter primer, so that's good. And I'm just going to add the glitter primer to this side, and we'll pick up the green in the NYX palette. So This green is not the same color, unfortunately, so my eyes are probably going to look a little bit lopsided. This one is kind of more of an olivey undertone green, and this one's more of a seafoam green. So my eyes are not going to match exactly. Yeah, this one definitely has more yellow to it. I wonder if I could sort of add a little bit of blue to it by adding this matte shade in. I don't know what that's going to do exactly if I try to apply a matte on top of a shimmer, but maybe it'll mix in okay. Let's see. Thinking back, I probably should have applied this shade first and put this down and then put the shimmer on top, but this actually isn't working out too badly. And it's changing the color pretty well, but doing it in reverse is actually kind of working. It seems like this color is turning a little bit more similar to the Too Faced one on this side. It's not quite as yellowy green over here anymore. So that's actually pretty cool. Let me just zoom you guys in. I think both brands do have a lot of glitter in their shimmer shades, but the NYX is by far the most glittery, I think. The Too Faced does have glitter, but it's not as much. I'm also getting some glitter fallout down here from the NYX palette, which I'm not getting from the Too Faced. That one seems to kind of grip to my eyelids a little bit more. So I do think while these palettes are similar at a glance, they're a very similar color story, they're not exactly the same. I think the greens in the Too Faced are much more blue greens, while these are a little bit different, especially the shimmery one. And also the NYX, I think some of these colors skew a little bit more orange, while in the Too Faced, they're much more red. So that's why this one I think gives off a little bit more of the appley vibe, whereas this one is kind of giving tropical rainforest vibes. So, you know, there are slight differences, but I think like if this one's not in your budget, or if you don't like scented eyeshadows and you want something that's kind of sort of similar, then I think the NYX one it's like I said, it's a great formula. I've used these for a couple years now, ever since they came out, and I really enjoy them. They are so long lasting on the eyes. So I think you'd probably be happy with either one. I'm not really sorry that I bought the Too Faced. I mean, I don't need it because I have so much eyeshadow already, but I do collect these palettes every year and I do enjoy using them. I just think they're just a vibe, especially heading into the fall. I look forward to these every year. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. I do think the Too Faced performance was better than last year's for sure. Moving on to mascara, I got the new Milk Makeup Kush High Roll Tubing Mascara, and I've been using this for a few weeks now. I really enjoy it, but I keep wondering, how does it compare to the Thrive Liquid Lash Extensions? Because this is my holy grail, like my favorite of all the tubing formulas. I think it's just #1 in my book. And this one does remind me a lot of the Thrive. If you look at the brushes, let me just show you really quick. They do have very similar style brushes. And from what I hear, the brush is pretty much what makes a mascara perform one way or the other, and that the formulas are all kind of similar to each other. That's what everybody keeps saying. So these are really close. The biggest difference that I see between them, like if I look really closely, I think the bristles on the Thrive are just slightly shorter and they're packed a little bit tighter together, whereas the Milk Makeup one, they're spread out just a little bit more. But I just want to do a head-to-head comparison, so I'll do the Milk Makeup one on this side and then the Thrive over here. Tubing mascaras have truly become such a favorite, and I'm so glad that more and more companies are coming out with them, and they seem to be trendy right now. Like I said, most of them don't compare to the Thrive for me, but there is something to be said for convenience too, because I can just run to Sephora quickly and get another one of these Milk Makeup, like if it runs out or whatever. But with the Thrive, you can only buy it on their website, so you have to order online, which kind of stinks. And they don't normally have the fastest shipping either, so I find that, you know, it's like I have to plan it out. If I need a new one, I need to make sure I give myself some lead time. But the Thrive one, it's just one that I keep going back to over and over, and I've repurchased it so many times because it is truly the best. It gives so much length and volume, and a lot of times tubing mascaras don't do that. They don't give you the false lash look. I mean, I do think they've gotten better over the years, and especially some of the ones that I've tried more recently have performed very well. But I don't know, there's just something about this one. All right, guys, so moment of truth. Let me just zoom you guys in and we'll take a look. All right, so I don't really notice a lot of difference, but I do think my lashes on the Thrive side are slightly longer, but there's really not a whole lot of difference between these two. I mean, I think the Milk makeup is probably the closest thing that I've tried yet to the Thrive Liquid Lash Extensions. So I don't know if you guys can tell a difference between one eye and the other, but one thing I will say about these two is that the Milk makeup one feels so lightweight compared to the Thrive. The Thrive is so heavy, and I think the heaviness, I don't know if it's just in my head, but when I go to apply it, the Milk makeup, like because the brush is so light, I feel like it doesn't grip to my lashes quite as well as the Thrive. This one, it just has this like weight to it, and it really combs through your lashes. And with this one, it kind of reminds me of something like the Maybelline Sky High brush, where it's a little bit flimsy and floppy. So you're not getting that really, what's the word I'm looking for? Like you're not getting as much tension on the brush as you do with the Thrive. So just some things to keep in mind, but when I look at the end result and how my lashes look, I think this does an amazing job, and it washes off the same way as the Thrive. It lasts all day, there's no smudging. So I definitely do not regret this purchase. Will I still continue to buy the Thrive? Probably, but I love knowing that this is right at Sephora. So if I need to just get a new mascara really quickly, I can grab this one, no problem. I think it's close enough to the Thrive to be a good substitute, but the Thrive, there's just something about it. Like I said, I feel like my lashes look just ever so slightly better on that side. So next, I got these new blushes from Essence, and this is the Blush Crush blush. So I got a couple different shades. I showed some of the cooler tones that I got in a YouTube short that I posted when I was on vacation, but I didn't show this one. This one I actually got after the fact, and it's the shade Coolberry. It's not particularly cool toned. It's a little bit on the warmer side, but since I was using warmer pinks on my eyes today, I wanted to use a slightly warmer blush, and I think this will probably pair really well with that. And one of the things that really struck me when I was swatching these is how smooth and silky these are. They are incredible. Like when you put them on your skin, the blend on it is insane. And it made me wonder, how do these compare to the older blushes from Essence called the Blush? These were favorites of mine for so many years, and I do still think it's a great formula. But if I like feel in the pan, it feels a little tiny bit scratchier. Maybe not quite as silky smooth. It's close, but this one just to me feels like such an improvement. So I want to try them both on my cheeks and see which one comes out on top. So I'm going to apply Coolberry on the side of my face with the new products, and I'm going to use the Sigma Soft Sculpt brush. Let's see how this goes as far as blending. Yeah, this color is perfect. It's almost the same shade that I used in my crease, and it's honestly applying like a dream. It is just blending out so effortlessly, and I feel like it's not even fair because this side of my face is still a little sticky, whereas this side over here is more dried down. So I didn't even think a powder blush was going to blend well over here, but it is so seamless and perfect. And I think that really is a testament to how nice this new formula is. It's beautiful. And also, this is just my opinion, but I feel like blush is one of those products that you don't need to spend a lot of money on. There's so many good ones at the drugstore, and Essence really tends to do blush very well. So next I'm gonna use the shade Beloved on this side, and this is Essence's older formula. This has been out for a couple years now. And I don't think this color is an exact match, but it's pretty close. It's a warm pink. And I mean, I think this is applying nicely as well. I think it's really smooth, but I also have a better canvas over on this side that wasn't sticky, and the Moira powder like just really dried everything down over here. So in a way, it's kind of hard to tell, but these are such amazing blushes anyway. They're $3. I don't know if these new Blush Crush ones are actually replacing the blush. I'll have to look again on the Ulta website and see if Essence is phasing these out. It could be. But if that is the case, I'm so happy with these Blush Crush ones. I think they're fantastic, so smooth. I really can't wait to try the other colors that I got on my face because those are more cool tones. I'll have to use those in a video coming up soon. But honestly, I don't notice a difference between the two. I probably didn't even need to buy this one necessarily because I think these are great also. So moving on for lips, I did get some of the new Fenty Balm sticks. I got 3 different shades, and they do seem like they're going to be really nice. They have a very emollient feel. They come in gorgeous colors. The one thing I'm not crazy about with these is the scent. It smells a little bit like crayons mixed with vanilla, mixed with maybe like a little bit of a fruity scent, but it's not anything that seems too overpowering. So today I want to use the shade Is It Fussy, and I'm just going to put it on half my lips. This is like a warm rosy pink, and these have a nice melty quality and a little bit of a thicker balmy feel. So they do feel really nice, and they remind me a lot of the Romand Glasting Melting Balms. These are a K-Beauty brand. I have so many of these, and they have that same melty, balmy texture. They come in the most gorgeous colors, and they're way less expensive than the Fenty. They have somewhat of a tropical, fruity scent, but I just love how cushiony and soft these are on your lips. And they have a nice amount of pigmentation too when they're going on. So I'm going to use the shade Kaya Fig, which I think is kind of similar to Is It Fussy from Fenty. It's slightly different, actually. It might be a little bit more peachy, but that's fine. My eyes don't match either. But right away, as I put both of these on, I do think the Romand balms are slightly more balmy, maybe slightly more emollient than the Fenty. And they may also have just a hint more shine to them. So while I'm not saying by any means that the Fenty balms are bad, I think they feel really nice on your lips. These balms from Romand are cheaper. They feel a little bit nicer on your lips. They also come in so many gorgeous colors. I probably didn't need to buy these Fenty ones. Obviously, I did want to try them for my channel to see what all the hype was about, but if I didn't have a channel, if I just was happy using these balms, I don't think I would have any reason to go out and buy the Fenty ones. So that is my 2 cents as far as the lip balms go. But anyway, now that I have everything on my face, I don't see a ton of difference between either side. I think all the products performed really well, but I do definitely have some regrets when it comes to new makeup because I really didn't need to buy the Charlotte Tilbury stick since I have the JOA one already. I really didn't need to buy the Rare Beauty powder when I think the Moira one just outperforms it. So I regret that purchase as well. And of course the Fenty Balm, like I just mentioned, I think the Romand ones definitely beat it as far as formula goes. And then as far as the Essence blushes go, I do think the new ones come in totally different shades than the originals, and I like that they're going more cool toned with them. So maybe I didn't necessarily need this color because I already have it in the older line, but the other two I definitely do not regret buying because they're purple and like a really cool tone pink that Essence didn't have before. And when it comes to the palettes, I think they're similar, but different enough that you're probably gonna get some different looks out of them. Plus the Too Faced one is just so fun. And I also think these foundations are very different as well. Even though they're both super long lasting, I think this one is just really glowy, really hydrating, super convenient to use. This one is a little bit more fussy, but it gives that beautiful, perfect skin-like finish. So I like both of these, and I feel like the same is true of the mascaras. I love both of them. I think it kind of goes either way. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really had fun testing all of these products out, going head to head. If you'd like to see more like this, definitely let me know. And also, if you're new here, I hope you'll consider hitting the subscribe button before you go. If you have some extra time and you'd like to watch another video, I'll put something right up here that you could check out next. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video. I truly appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in my next one. Take care. Bye.